All right, so you send over the CFA Institute research paper called Cryptoassets, Beyond the Hype.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to try and make sense of it all, right? Figure out if there's like really a solid investment case for crypto or if it's all just hype.
Right.
And even bigger picture,
Mm-hmm.
can this tech really change how we think about money? Like, is that even possible?
Well, it's interesting how much the conversation swings between like get rich quick
Yeah.
and world-changing revolution.
Right.
But the paper does something I think pretty smart.
Okay.
It goes back to the OG economic thinkers
Oh, okay.
to see where these ideas actually came from.
All right, so who are we talking about here? Like
Well,
Adam Smith, that kind of thing?
yeah, you've got Adam Smith
Okay.
way back in The Wealth of Nations.
Mm-hmm.
He was already arguing that true wealth isn't like hoarding gold.
Okay.
It's the exchange of goods and services that matters.
Mm.
Sound familiar?
Yeah, it does. It's like peer-to-peer transactions. Centuries before
Exactly.
Bitcoin.
Yeah.
That's wild. Didn't Hayek have something to say about this too?
Oh, Hayek went even further.
Okay.
He was all about denationalizing money,
Okay.
believing that competition between currencies would keep things stable.
Right.
Crypto, in a way, is putting that theory to the test, isn't it?
Yeah, I guess so.
Mhm.
Although I thought Bitcoin was supposed to be like the currency, right? The one to rule them all. And now we've got like, I don't know how many, a million different coins.
Yeah.
Stable coins, NFTs.
Right.
How does the paper like break all this down?
It separates them by their use case.
Oh, okay.
Right? So you've got your classic cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin and Ether.
Mm-hmm.
Those are mostly seen as investments, right?
Yeah.
But then there are stable coins,
Right.
which try to stay pegged to like a real currency, like the dollar.
Right.
Those are more for everyday transactions.
Okay.
And NFTs, well, those are a whole different beast.
Yeah, they are a whole other thing. But as an investor, why do I care about all these differences?
Because the risks are completely different.
Okay.
Bitcoin might swing wildly.
Right.
A stable coin is supposed to stay steady
Yeah.
in an NFT.
Yeah.
Well, is that Bored Ape really going to be worth millions tomorrow?
Right.
Understanding what each type is, F or R,
Yeah.
helps you assess the risk.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So how big is this market anyway? Like,
Yeah.
is it really a threat to the global financial system, like some people say?
That's where it gets interesting.
Oh, okay.
The paper compares the crypto market cap
Mm-hmm.
to, say, gold,
Yeah.
the S&P 500, even just money market funds,
Okay.
and it's dwarfed.
Really?
Exhibit 5 shows that even Bitcoin and Ether combined
Right.
are tiny compared to these giants.
So maybe not a systemic risk yet.
Right.
But I've got to ask about ICOs.
Okay.
They always sound so exciting, but also kind of sketchy.
Mm-hmm.
What does the paper say about those?
They're basically the crypto version of IPOs.
Yeah.
A project raises money by selling these tokens.
Right.
Those could represent actual currency, an investment stake,
Okay.
or even just access to some future services.
So, like, I could buy a token that lets me use a new social media platform before anyone else.
Exactly.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah, but hold on.
Okay.
The paper drops a truth bomb here.
Yeah.
Over 80% of ICOs back in 2017 were scams,
Oh, wow.
according to the Satis Group.
Really?
We're talking rug pulls, pump and dumps.
So, buyer beware.
It's the dark side of fundraising.
Yeah, a good reminder to do your research
Oh,
before jumping into anything too good to be true, right?
Absolutely.
But once you do buy into crypto, how do you even store it?
Now you're talking about the world of exchanges and wallets.
Okay.
It's like choosing your adventure
Right.
in the crypto jungle.
All right, so walk me through this.
You've got traditional brokerage houses,
Okay.
centralized exchanges
Mhm.
like Coinbase,
Mm-hmm.
decentralized ones,
Right.
and then all the different types of wallets.
Okay.
Hot, cold hardware. It's a lot.
So what's the right choice? Like, if I'm holding my crypto on an exchange, is it really mine? What if the exchange, like, goes belly up?
That's a question that
Yeah.
we need to dig into deeper.
Okay.
The paper actually brings up a pretty scary example with Coinbase.
Really?
Yeah.
That's-
They acknowledge in their SEC filing
Okay.
that customer assets might be considered part of their bankruptcy estate.
So if things go south, your crypto could be stuck in legal limbo.
Right.
Wow. Okay, now I'm really glad we're having this conversation.
Yeah.
Choosing the right place to store your crypto seems way more important
Right.
than I realized.
Yeah, this whole concept of custody and safekeeping
Right.
is one we'll explore in depth a little later on
Okay.
because it's a major consideration for any serious crypto investor.
But wait, the paper also mentioned that 95% of crypto transactions in 2021 were through centralized exchanges. Isn't that a bit ironic given the whole decentralization thing?
Yeah, that's the paradox of the current crypto landscape, right?
Yeah.
The technology is decentralized, but the services built on top often aren't.
Right.
It raises some interesting questions about the future of this whole ecosystem.
All right, so we've got our wallets figured out.
Okay.
But what about actually using crypto? I keep hearing about DeFi, lending, yield farming, staking.
Right.
Are these just buzzwords or is there something real here?
Think of it this way. DeFi is like building a whole new financial system
Okay.
on the blockchain.
Interesting.
You can lend and borrow crypto, earn interest. It's securities lending, but with digital assets.
So instead of putting my money in a savings account,
Right.
I could lock up my tokens
Yeah,
and earn interest that way.
exactly.
Interesting.
But of course, it's not without risks.
Right.
There's a lot to unpack there,
Okay.
including specific DeFi protocols, the potential rewards, and the very real possibility of losing everything.
This brings us back to the big question then.
Yeah.
Is there like a real investment case for crypto
Right.
or is it just hype? What did the experts interviewed by the CFA Institute have to say?
There's a real mix of opinions, which I think is healthy.
Okay.
Some were bullish on the transformative potential of the technology,
Right.
while others were wary of the volatility, lack of regulation,
Yeah.
and just the inherent risks.
So it's not a one-size-fits-all answer.
It's definitely not.
So how should I be thinking about crypto as an investor? Where do I even begin?
The concept of fiduciary duty really resonated with me here,
Okay.
especially if you're an advisor managing client funds,
Right.
prudence, loyalty, care. These are the guiding principles.
So you're saying we need to look beyond the buzzwords and really understand the use cases, the risks, and the potential returns before making any decisions.
Exactly. And if you're genuinely curious about dipping your toes in, start small.
Okay.
Allocate a portion you're comfortable potentially losing.
Right.
Think of it as an educational expense
Yeah.
as you learn more about this evolving space.
Yeah, that's good advice.
Yeah?
Okay, so you've really got me thinking about this whole custody thing.
Yeah.
I mean, in traditional finance, we have all these safeguards, right?
Right.
It's like the customer protection rule. But how does that translate to the world of crypto, where things are decentralized and often like unregulated?
That's the million-dollar question. It's a completely different ballgame.
Okay.
In traditional finance, you have these established institutions and regulations that protect your assets.
Yeah.
But with crypto, it's like the Wild West out there.
So if my crypto is just sitting on an exchange and that exchange suddenly goes bankrupt,
Right.
what happens to my assets? Are they really even mine?
That's the scary part.
Yeah.
The paper brings up a real-world example with Coinbase.
Coinbase, right.
Yeah, remember them?
Yeah.
In their SEC filing, they actually acknowledged
Okay.
that customer assets might be considered part of their bankruptcy estate.
So your crypto could get tied up
Yeah.
in legal proceedings for who knows how long.
Right, exactly.
Wow, that's a
Yeah.
sobering
No,
thought. I never really considered that risk before. It sounds like choosing the right custodian
Right.
is absolutely crucial.
It is.
But how do you even know who to trust?
That's where due diligence comes in.
Okay.
You want a custodian who prioritizes asset segregation,
Okay.
meaning your crypto
Yeah.
is held separately from their own funds.
So there's like a wall there.
Exactly.
Got it.
They should have robust security measures in place,
Okay.
like multi-factor authentication and cold storage.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense.
And transparency is key.
Yeah.
They should be open about their operations and financial health.
Right.
You really want to know what's going on.
Yeah. Right. So we've talked about like the risks of custody,
Mm-hmm.
but let's zoom out for a second.
Yeah.
What's the regulatory landscape looking like right now for crypto? Is anyone even trying to bring some order to this Wild West?
The paper paints a picture of a global patchwork quilt.
Meaning,
Different countries are taking different approaches,
okay.
which creates a lot of uncertainty
Yeah, for sure.
for everyone involved. Investors, businesses, even policymakers.
It's like everyone's trying to figure it out as they go.
As they go, exactly.
But what about like the US and Europe? Are they doing anything specific?
Well, the U.S. seems to be focused on applying existing securities laws to crypto assets.
Okay.
They're cracking down on scams
Mhm.
and unregistered securities offerings,
Right.
which is a good start,
Yeah.
but it's still a bit of a gray area.
And what about the European Union?
Okay.
I vaguely remember something about MiCA.
Ah, yes.
Okay, what is that?
The Markets in Crypto Assets Regulation. It's a sweeping piece of legislation
Okay.
that aims to create a comprehensive regulatory framework for crypto in Europe.
So, big picture stuff.
Yeah, it covers investor protection, market integrity,
Okay.
the authorization of crypto asset service providers, the whole shebang.
So, it's like they're trying to build
They
a whole new rule book for the crypto game.
They are, yeah.
It sounds like they're ahead of the curve compared to the U.S.
Potentially, yeah.
But let's get back to the investment side of things.
Okay.
Remember how we talked about Bitcoin as like digital gold?
Yeah.
The paper wasn't too convinced about that, was it?
Well, if you look at the data,
Yeah.
Bitcoin's price movements haven't really correlated with inflation
Okay.
or the weakness of the U.S. dollar.
Interesting.
So it's not exactly acting as a hedge
Right.
like some people thought it would.
So scratch that off the list.
Yeah.
But what about crypto as a medium of exchange?
Yeah.
Are we ever going to be buying our groceries with Bitcoin?
That's the dream for many crypto enthusiasts.
Yeah.
But realistically, we're a long way off
Yeah.
from mass adoption.
Right.
Volatility is still a major hurdle
For sure.
for merchants and consumers.
Yeah.
Imagine going to the store one day
Right.
and finding out your Bitcoin suddenly lost half its value overnight.
Yeah, that wouldn't exactly inspire confidence.
Right.
Yeah. But the paper did mention some other interesting use cases,
Yeah.
especially in the realm of tokenization.
Mm-hmm.
What's that all about?
Tokenization is where things get really exciting.
Okay.
It's basically taking a real-world asset,
Mm-hmm.
like a piece of real estate or a work of art,
Okay.
and representing it as a digital token on a blockchain.
Okay, that sounds interesting.
Yep.
But can you give me like a concrete example, like how this would actually work?
Imagine you want to buy a house.
Right.
Traditionally, that involves tons of paperwork.
Yeah.
Lawyers, banks,
Right.
and middlemen.
Yeah.
But with tokenization,
Oh.
you could potentially purchase a token that represents ownership of that property.
So it's like a digital deed.
Exactly.
Interesting.
It streamlines the entire process
Right.
and could even make fractional ownership more accessible.
Whoa. So you're saying I could buy like a piece of a Picasso
Yeah.
with crypto?
It's not that far-fetched.
It's mind-blowing.
Tokenization has the potential to revolutionize
Okay.
how we own, trade, and even finance assets.
Wow.
It could unlock liquidity for traditionally illiquid assets.
So things that were hard to buy and sell before
That's true.
become easier with this?
Right.
But how do you even put a value on these tokenized assets?
Well, the paper argues
Yeah.
that the intrinsic value of these assets
Mhm.
should be tied to their use cases.
Okay, so their actual purpose.
Exactly.
Got it.
So in the case of a tokenized piece of real estate,
Yeah.
the value would be based on the rental income it generates, the appreciation potential of the property,
Right.
and the overall demand for that type of asset.
So it's about looking beyond the hype and focusing on the real world stuff
Right.
that's driving the adoption of this technology.
Exactly.
Which reminds me, we briefly touched on smart contracts earlier.
Yeah.
They sound like something straight out of a sci-fi movie.
They're pretty futuristic,
Yeah.
but they're already being used in a variety of ways.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Think of a smart contract as a self-executing agreement
Okay.
that automatically enforces the terms of a deal.
So instead of having a lawyer draw up a contract,
Yeah.
we could just code it
Yeah.
into a smart contract on the blockchain.
Exactly. And because it's all automated and transparent,
Okay.
it reduces the risk of fraud or disputes.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, it can make things much more efficient.
Give me some real-world examples
Sure.
of how these smart contracts could be used.
Take supply chain management, for example.
Okay.
Smart contracts could track goods
Mm-hmm.
from the moment they leave the factory
Okay.
to the moment they arrive at the customer's doorstep,
So you can see exactly where they are in the process.
ensuring transparency and accountability every step of the way.
That's cool.
Or consider proxy voting in shareholder meetings.
Okay.
Tokenized shares could allow for secure and verifiable online voting,
Right.
making the process much more democratic.
Interesting.
Yeah.
It sounds like we're on the cusp of a whole new era of digital agreements and automated processes.
Yeah,
But with all these innovations, there must be some new challenges too, right?
absolutely. The paper dives into the issue of circularity.
Okay, circularity.
Yeah.
That sounds ominous.
Within the crypto ecosystem,
Okay.
this is where things can get a little hairy.
Break it down for me.
Basically, it's a situation
That's-
where the value and stability of a crypto asset
Mm-hmm.
become dependent on a closed loop
Okay.
of interconnected activities.
Mm-hmm.
Often, these activities are fueled by speculation and leverage,
Right.
which can create a very fragile system.
Can you give me like a specific example of what this circularity might look like?
Imagine a platform
All right.
offering incredibly high interest rates
Right.
on stake tokens.
Okay.
To sustain those rates,
Yeah.
they might rely on a constant influx of new investors,
Right.
creating a pyramid-like structure
Ah, okay.
that's ultimately unsustainable.
So when the new money dries up, the
Yeah.
whole thing collapses.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or consider traders
Okay.
borrowing crypto assets
Right.
to leverage their bets
Right.
using the very same assets as collateral.
Okay.
If the price of those assets suddenly plummets,
Right.
it triggers a cascade of liquidations.
That can wipe out
Yeah.
entire portfolios.
Exactly.
Yikes, that sounds like a recipe for disaster.
The key takeaway here
Okay.
is to be wary of platforms or projects that seem too good to be true.
Right.
Always look under the hood
Mm.
and ask yourself, where is the real value being created?
Yeah.
Is there genuine demand for the services being offered?
Or is it all just smoke and mirrors? So it's all about doing your due diligence,
Yes.
understanding the risks,
Absolutely.
and not getting caught up in the hype.
That's right.
But what about the big picture? Where does crypto go from here? It really does feel like we're at a crossroads with crypto.
Yeah.
So are we going to see it become like a mainstream way to pay for things?
Mm-hmm.
Like actually replacing the dollar someday? Or is it going to stay mostly as an investment?
That's the billion-dollar question, isn't it?
Yeah.
Honestly, it's hard to say for sure.
Yeah.
The crypto world changes so fast,
Right.
and there are valid arguments on both sides.
I mean, the technology itself seems perfect for payments, right?
It does.
Faster, cheaper, more transparent than what we have now.
Absolutely. We're already seeing those benefits in some areas,
Okay.
like cross-border remittances.
Right.
Sending money overseas with crypto can be a lot faster and cheaper than traditional methods.
So why isn't everyone using it already?
Well, that's where those hurdles come in. For starters, the volatility is a major roadblock for merchants
Yeah.
and everyday consumers.
Right.
Imagine going to buy a coffee
Yeah.
and not knowing if your Bitcoin will be worth the same amount in an hour.
Yeah, that wouldn't exactly make me feel comfortable using crypto for everyday purchases.
Right.
And then there's the regulatory uncertainty.
Yeah, different countries are all over the place with their rules,
Right.
which makes it hard for businesses to operate globally.
That makes sense.
And let's not forget about the user experience.
Okay.
Crypto interfaces can still be pretty clunky
Yeah.
and confusing for the average person.
It sounds like there's a lot of work to be done before we're all paying for our groceries with Bitcoin.
Agreed.
But even if it doesn't become our everyday currency,
Hmm.
the impact of crypto is undeniable, right?
Oh, we're sure.
It's already disrupted traditional finance
Yeah.
and sparked a wave of innovation
Right.
that's changing how we think about money and value.
Absolutely.
So for someone listening to this, right,
Yeah.
feeling a bit overwhelmed by all this information,
Mhm.
what's like the key takeaway? How should they be thinking about crypto going forward?
First and foremost,
Okay.
don't get caught up in the hype.
Right.
Do your own research, understand the technology, the different types of crypto assets,
Yeah.
and the risks involved.
Okay.
Focus on real-world applications.
Yeah.
And be wary of get-rich-quick schemes.
That's good advice.
This is a marathon, not a sprint.
Knowledge is power, right?
Absolutely.
Mm.
And don't be afraid to ask questions.
Mm.
This is a new frontier,
Yeah.
and we're all learning as we go.
Right.
Engage with the community, explore different perspectives,
Okay.
and be willing to challenge your own assumptions.
It's a constantly evolving space.
It is.
Well, this has been a
Yeah.
fascinating conversation.
It has.
I really appreciate you walking us through this.
Yeah, of course.
It's a complicated topic, but I think we've shed some light on it, right?
Yeah, I hope so.
So to everyone listening, we hope you found this deep dive insightful and thought-provoking.
Yeah.
We always love to hear your thoughts.
Absolutely.
What were your big takeaways? What questions do you still have? Share them with us.
Yeah, join the conversation.
And until next time,
Yeah,
keep learning.
keep exploring.
Keep exploring.
Stay curious.
All right, we'll see you next time.